Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our entitled people. In today's episode, entitled neighbor helps herself to my garden. I grammar checked someone's college paper, and now he's blaming me for his failure. GameStop Karen AK, customer thinks he knows better. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled neighbor helps herself to my garden. Well, I should have known that no good deed goes unpunished. We have a small vegetable and herb garden in the corner of our yard. Two neighbors have the ability and my permission to reach over the fence and snip off any herbs they need. We always grow much more than we can use. One neighbor has been doing it for years with no problems. He takes a sprig or two a few times a week and always asks if he needs more than usual. He repays me in beautiful roses, but I would have no problem with not getting them in return. The other neighbor never cooked, so he never took any. Now he has a new GF and she happened to introduce herself while I was planting the herbs, so I offered her some once it has a chance to grow a bit. So, of course, 2 weeks after I planted, she snips off all but a few leaves off of every herb. 2 weeks. I was livid. My BF went over and explained that it was too soon. The plants were tiny, not ready, etc. He's much nicer than I am. The neighbor apologized profusely and said the GF wouldn't be going anywhere near the herbs until I specifically allow it. A week later, I catch this dumbass out there with a pair of scissors, but it's only been a week and there's nothing to snip out there yet. Apparently, she can't make meatballs without parsley and the grocery store within walking distance is too far to go. One of my plants has 3 leaves on it. Seriously. The other neighbor doesn't dare take anything before mid-July. Certainly, he would never touch anything before I did. We looked at each other for a few seconds, and then I just said, "Please get your herbs at the store from now on." I can't believe I managed to think of that. Usually I think of a great comeback 10 minutes after the fact. She turned bright red and went in the house. Hopefully, she embarrassed herself enough to stay away. I don't want to have problems with this neighbor. He's nice and quiet and doesn't bother anyone. Tomorrow it will be a week since I caught her again. We'll see what happens. Update. Just got home and had a chat with the nice neighbor, who told me that the oversnipper and her BF had some kind of disagreement a few days ago, and he looked like he was sick of her shit. He hasn't seen her car since. Yes, he's old and nosy. He also plans to buy some parsley and basil seedlings to put on his side of the fence out of her reach. I gave him some pots and cinder blocks to put them on. You can't really see them from the other neighbor's yard unless you crane your neck, so that should work. With any luck, I will not be posting about her climbing into his yard through mine in the near future. Update 2. Since people are still commenting, I thought I'd post another quick update. The oversnipper's BF didn't break up with her. I've seen her car, but not her. No herbs have been harmed since my last post and everything is growing back in nicely. I used some of the parsley and chives in a potato salad the other day. It's such a luxury to just have it on hand. The nice neighbor planted more as promised, and those are doing well, too. My BF is still convinced that she'll be causing more problems in the future. I'm hoping embarrassment continues to be a deterrent. Get a surveillance camera for the garden? I think Ring even has ones you can hide in plant pots. I can just count the leaves on my poor little plants. LMAO, they'll still grow. It's just that now the nice neighbor, and I have to wait longer for our first snip, and that sucks. Get some shade cloth and a frame and cover them. They'll still get the sun and rain, but wouldn't be easily accessible. And this is something I would do because I'm petty. Put a sign facing that neighbor saying, "All snipping must be approved in advance. Thank you and have a nice day." I like this suggestion best of all. Cheaper than a Ring camera and service connection for it. Like, did she think you just wouldn't have a problem with your plants being snipped down to a stem and a few leaves? Did she not know plants take time to grow? It astounds me how people can see the inch you've extended to them as a favor and take a hell of a lot of miles. So rude. I tried growing some herbs and flowers from seed for the first time last year. gives me appreciation for all the work that goes into growing plants. LMAO. Those were my exact questions when it first happened. I had to put some of my herbs in elevated pots to keep the bunnies away, but that isn't working on her. I grammar checked someone's college paper, and now he's blaming me for his failure. Since my high school days, I've been correcting some of my friends' papers. I mostly only check the grammar, but I also do some minor adjustments. For instance, I had one friend who didn't understand the concept of paragraphs until college. Every now and then. I'm not a professional by any means, but my work has been good enough that my friends have recommended me to some of their peers. I graduated college in 2019. I'm not a teacher or a student, and I don't charge anyone anything. Whenever I agree to do this, it's purely for fun. However, I've been doing it less and less lately, as I now have an actual job, a husband, and a toddler. Also, almost all my friends have graduated. One of the exceptions is a close friend of mine who recently decided to get a second degree. His class had a pretty big paper to deliver last week, and he recommended my services to a classmate of his. I was put in contact with the classmate, I'll call him Derek, an 18-year-old who, based on our interactions through the phone, seemed like a chill person. In retrospect, I'm pretty sure he was just high. The paper was due last Monday at 7:30, right before the start of their class, and he promised me he'd send it for me to grammar check it at least 24 hours before. On Monday, at 1 a.m., Derek finally sent me the paper. As promised, I swallowed my frustration and got to work. The paper was 3 pages long. As I read it, I noticed that at least half of it was very obviously written by your friend and mine, ChatGPT. It was bad enough that I almost immediately realized the information was wrong. I think the AI confused 2 different people, which derailed much of what came next, even though I only had a basic understanding of what the paper was about. But it was 1 a.m. and the grammar for that half was fine, so I didn't touch it. I only corrected the offensively atrocious grammar present everywhere else. I sent him the finished paper about an hour later. He didn't thank me. Derek got his grade back yesterday. His paper got a 2 out of 10, and his teacher apparently told him he was lucky to get even that. His response was to send me a text that said something along the lines of, "What did you do? Weren't you supposed to correct it?" I reminded Derek that I corrected grammatical errors, not information. He'd been informed of that several times, by both me and my friend, before I agreed to help. He rudely continued to text me that I should have corrected the rest of it anyway, since I could tell the information was inaccurate. So Derek, who relied on AI to write half of a very important paper, is blaming me for the fact that his teacher saw right through it. And judging by some of his texts, I think he expected me to rewrite parts of his paper. The nerve on this guy. I get it. I was a student once, and I don't miss it. But I'd never treat anyone like this, especially someone who had just done me a favor. I am seriously considering not doing grammar checks anymore. No good deed goes unpunished. If I was a teacher and a student turns in a paper written by ChatGPT, it'd be an automatic failing grade and they'd have to redo the assignment. Me too. And I'm certain that so would every teacher I had in school, only they wouldn't let the student redo anything. My undergrad was in English and I stopped doing this sort of thing because of the shocking amount of people who take editing, grammar checking, and proofreading as personal attacks. GameStop Karen AK, customer thinks he knows better. A wild, male, Karen story with a satisfying ending. My friend and I decided to stop at a GameStop while we were out of town to look for a certain game. When we got inside, I hopped in line to ask a worker, and my friend started browsing. There were 2 people in front of me looking annoyed, and then there was Karen at the register taking up the attention of both workers who also looked annoyed. I've been coming to this store for years. He barked at them. They've always done it for me. The manager essentially told him that all GameStops have the same basic rules, and he couldn't just give this guy a discount. It could actually cost him his job. The Karen was asking for a price match with the same item at Best Buy. However, the one employee rung it up at that price and put the pro member discount on top of it, which took like $7 extra off. The manager told the worker that they can't apply that discount on top of a price match. Well, while Karen goes off, "I want to see your paperwork. Show me where it says you can't do that. I've been coming here for years. You're going to lose my business if you don't give me this at X price." Dude literally turned red in the face yelling at these guys. The manager walks off and returns with some papers. He stands there and reads through the pages and then smiles. "Oh, actually, not only can I not apply a discount to a price match, we are not allowed to price match at all at this location." He proceeds to hand the papers over to Karen, who's now hemming and hawing and steaming from the ears. The workers help the line that has piled up while Karen reads over the papers multiple times and realizes he's not going to get the thing he wanted unless he pays full price. So in the end, the thing he wanted would have cost him well over $200 instead of $170, because he wanted it for $163. Those two sentences are two surefire ways of identifying a Karen. I've been coming to this store for years, and they always do this for me. They do it at the other store. Well, then go to the other store. So why didn't he just go to Best Buy then, as they had the item at the lower price? Because homie wanted his member discount on top of the price match. He wanted to have his cake and to eat it too. As far as I know, GameStop has never price matched. It's not part of their business model. I worked there for a few years starting back in 2010, and that was policy even then. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.